Just run all these ads, you spend thousands of dollars to find the perfect lead, all so that you can just get something like this. This is how a lead came in. 30 a.m. Going to be getting on our team call here in 30 minutes. Before we do that, I want to focus with the team on how we can try to provide a little bit more value to our clients. So basically just going to be prepping up to help my team go through how we can build out a backlog for our clients is based on actual ROI. Let me show you. See, the issue that we're having is that we've been working with a client forever, but the main stakeholder moved on to a new role. So now we have a new stakeholder and they're a little timid to give us work, which is putting us in an issue where we don't have as much billable hours. So that's great and all, but you first have to figure out what it is that they're spending time on. So the question I'd like to ask is, if you could wave a magic wand in Salesforce, what would it be that you solve? Route number one, they tell you exactly what they would solve and what a big pain point is for them. And bingo, you just start asking questions about that thing and how long it takes them to do that thing in Salesforce. Number two is going to be a little more tricky. This is where they give you some kind of surface level problem and you got to dig a little deeper. So digging a little deeper or a surface level question would be something like, oh, this page takes a long time to load. That's actually fine. The follow-up question is really the magic. You would then ask, how does that affect your sales? How does that affect your marketing team? This is usually where the lights come on a little bit and they'll say, oh yeah, sales did complain how it takes 2-3 minutes for them to get into the sales part of Salesforce and update all their leads and update all their opportunities, and that slows down the deal cycle. And that's usually when you kind of dig in from that point. You ask them, well, how long does that take them to then update that information? I think you're probably starting to see where I'm going with this. Point is, there's a problem. Who does that affect? How long does that take you? And once we know that, we can throw it in our cost calculator. And then we build up this backlog of items. The backlog of items are going to look something like this, where your Salesforce consultant should put together all the tickets that they're working on and the statuses that they're in, so you know exactly what's going on and they're being transparent with what is happening in your org. And this is really where the difference maker is, because now this whole backlog that we built is not just like BS stuff. This is actually based on real life things that can save you real life money in your company, and whoever the stakeholder is, it's going to make them look good if we solve those problems with them. So it's a win for your consultants because they stay consistent, and it's a big win for you as the founder, the owner, the stakeholder, because you're actually solving problems that save you guys real life money that we've already calculated for you in the long run, which is what this whole thing is about. So this is a good gut check for your consultants that you may be currently working with. If they're just solving things to solve things because they think it's a problem for your business, well, that's kind of an issue. It's not based on anything. Everything that we solve problems on are going to be based on the actual money and time you're going to save. So you get the idea. I'm going to work with some teammates today on how to think through that problem so that they don't run into this issue where they feel like they don't have a backlog for any of their clients. Number one rule as the consultant, never not have a backlog. This is literally the job that you've hired us to do, is to take care of things that are important to your business and solve them for you. I would say that's the biggest difference maker. There's growth partners, which is what I view ourselves as, and then there's task takers. Task takers are the ones that just do what you tell them to do. Growth partners are the ones that are going to go out and look for these things of how you can actually scale your business. When you explain it like that, pretty easy to pick which one you would rather work with, right? You don't really want to tell someone what to do. You want them to come in and show you how they're going to provide value. So I got this meeting in 5 minutes with the team, and that's going to be our first sync of the day. All before 7 o'clock, you're seeing all this, and then get into it for the rest of the day, which I'll record some thoughts and processes and things that I'm doing along the way so you can see what this day looks like. Okay, just finished up that call. It went really good with the team. We scheduled the time later this afternoon to do this exercise for the first time all together so that we could learn this together and all be in sync with how we can do this for all of our clients going forward with the backlog. Typically, I'm better at this, but obviously a little dressed down, so I'm gonna go shower, get dressed up for the day, be ready for the rest of my client calls. I got a little bit of a gap, so I'm gonna go do that now. Okay, I'm back. All right, so now I'm gonna walk you through how we're actually going to prep for this meeting so that we don't waste time when we actually get to the meeting with my employees. Okay, so I've just been sitting at my computer for a minute, just basically logged into Salesforce, looking to see if they have these metrics that we want to track for each department. So all your KPIs, all the things that are important to you for each department within the business to see if they're doing well or they're doing poor. Then I like to share this over into the Slack channel just so that everybody has it before the meeting so that they can look at it before we get in there. When I'm in the same mode, I'm just going to kind of go through the same type of tasks that are like this. So I have another proposal that I got to review with the teammates. I'm going to move to that next. Okay, I just met with the team, went through all that, and then I jumped into like a series of calls with the clients and just had a funny one pop up that I thought I would share. So we're on this call and we're looking at leads, and then they got all these spam leads that came in. And so they were wanting me to look at this random lead that had popped up. So we pull up this lead and then we're looking at the lead, and obviously I have no idea what the lead is and neither does the client. So they start reading the description and then it's just some like spam sex type of thing that pops up. And so the person reading it, very sophisticated person, was like all like taken back by like, what does this say? What? Oh my gosh, what is going on? So that was pretty funny. So just finish those up, about to jump into another one. Tuesday is like all of our calls. So it's literally me just kind of sitting through calls all day. I don't usually do these, but I tried to pick one a month that I go to just to kind of fill things out, see how things are going, see how the client looks and feels, Same with our team, how they're handling things. So I'm going to go to them all today for the month. So it's just a lot of calls today that I'm just kind of sitting in. Nothing too exciting, but helpful, super helpful for the business, because then I can determine, hey, do we need to make adjustments with the team? Do we need to make adjustments with the client? What's happening between the two? Is there a lot of synergy? Are people laughing? Is it a good time? All that kind of stuff you got to know so that you stay in tune with what the client's doing. So it's needed. You have to do it. Sometimes it can just be a little bit of a slog going through it at times. But the cool part is I really enjoy all of our clients too. So other than the fact of just having like meetings themselves, meetings after meetings all day, that can kind of get annoying. But like individually, like when you get into the meeting, it's usually fine because, you know, all the clients we work with, I always really enjoy the people we end up picking and have as partners. So when we actually get in there, really fun and cool because everybody's just like, tends to be really cool with us. So it's always great to catch up with them and to see how everybody's doing. So I'm gonna go and do that. I'm gonna grab lunch. I got this thing in like 10 minutes. So I'm gonna grab a quick lunch. Back, time to get in the old chair and I'll set this up and do a time lapse. All right, done with that call, about to jump into another one here. I think what gets tiring about this is like, I'm literally sitting in a chair, so it's not physical, obviously. But it's like, I think so much context switching, it gets me freaking tired by the end of the day. Because you're always thinking about a new client, a new problem, a new solution, a new way to strategize, a new angle, who's taking care of what, how are you delegating things? Do they have all the stuff carried over from last week into this week? You know, what is the billing working out to be? So like, I think it's just like your mind's in all these spots. And days like this where it's just stacked up, although I'm literally sitting there in a chair, just like mentally, I'm kind of checked out by the end of the day where I'm just like, how do I keep powering through this? Because it's a lot of thinking. Anyways, jumping into this next meeting, a little more context switching again to a new client. We're going to be walking through that SOP that we talked about today. I'm going to be using it with this client, so I'll give some feedback on how that went. Okay, not the end of the day, but I usually tend to end these videos around like 2 or 3 so that I have time to edit them. I don't like doing them after hours. So I'm gonna kind of wrap this up with a final learning. That was my last call of the day. A lot of stuff that we talked through today with clients. It was a really good lesson learned. So I'm gonna break that down now. Okay, I like visuals. I'm gonna draw this out. Hopefully you can see this. So you have a client and you have the consultant. The client has something that they want done and a goal of how they want that done, and they give you directions. The consultant is trying to understand what that goal is through feedback. So let's be more specific. Okay, so being more specific, think of this exercise. We all played this game called 20 questions as a kid, right? Client is thinking of a spider. That's a spider. The consultant over here is blank. They have no idea what you're thinking of. They have to figure out what you're thinking of. So what you find out is everybody is different when it comes to communication. Some people are great and some people aren't so great. And you have to decipher that. You have to read people that way as part of being a consultant and running this business so that you can understand how many of those questions you have to ask. So going back to this example, this guy over here is thinking of this spider, the consultant over here. What you want the consultant to be able to get better at is to find out that it's a spider in less than 20 questions. If they could do it in 1, that's ideal. So you're trying to play this game with your employees and this game with the clients where you're trying to teach them how you can ask better questions and anticipate needs so that you can find out it's a spider in 1 question versus taking all 20 to get there. This is kind of the motto. Less questions, less friction. Less friction, happier client. So the trouble you have with it is it does come off as a little bit unfair, right? A lot of the time as a consultant, you're dealing with like VP of sales or CEO or some kind of C-suite person, and you feel like they should be better at communicating these things to you. So you don't have to ask all the questions and it's not on you to know every single thing. You kind of want them to tell you in a way that you would understand, so it's less work on your side. And every now and then you find somebody like that and it's amazing to work with them because you don't have to simplify anything and you just both know exactly what it is that you want. Realistically though, that's pretty rare in my experience so far. So it's really just an excuse, in my opinion, if you don't figure out how to do this. It's a lack of your effort. It's a lack of your trying. It's a lack of you wanting to try to make this the best experience possible for the client. And it's really on you as the agency to figure that piece out. How do I make this less friction for them so that when they deal with me, I can understand right away that, bam, you're thinking of the spider and I need to be able to build this in that way, right? They have this goal over here of how they want Salesforce to work. And 1 question, I figured out what you want because I know how to ask questions and I know what you're thinking and I know your pain points and I know what the business needs and I know what the problems are. And so I'm going to anticipate what it is that we have to do. And when I anticipate all that stuff and I'm right, and it makes everything
everything so much easier. They want to stay with you forever because, again, it's less friction on their side. And I've been talking about this a little bit more recently, mainly because I've been getting a little more involved with something called Talent Stacker, where it's basically people that have been consultants or interested in consulting, and they kind of want to freelance, and some want to maybe start a business. And there's a big difference between freelancing and running a business. And a lot of this stuff, in my opinion, is the running the business part, right? Which is, this is the kind of stuff, the skill set that you just got to get really good at, and why people pay you what they do. One thing I never really stood as a kid or getting some of my first jobs, I would always just want to shoot for the high ticket, get paid more. And I always did, even maybe when I shouldn't have got that higher pay, I would negotiate for it. And sometimes I was probably deserving of it. Sometimes maybe it was a little further out of my reach than I was able to get, and maybe they gave it to me as a chance. But where I'm going with that is, it's not until now running this business that I'm now understanding how that directly correlates. I see this a bunch on Twitter with nothing to do with Salesforce consulting, just business people. And they'll always talk about shooting for the high ticket, but the reality is, going back to just like this stuff right here in the middle, whatever it is that you do, designing, Salesforce, running a flower shop, whatever it is, there's skills in this middle part. Our skill happens to be translating requests into Salesforce things and viewing the business, having a vision of your business and understanding how to scale you from X amount of dollars to Y amount of dollars. And that's the skill that's required from us to do that. So that's real work. That's real skill. That's real practice and feedback and criticism that has to happen to get better at that. And the better you get at that, you should be rewarded for that, because it makes it easier for the client to work with you, right? So when you shoot for these high tickets, when you're just not good enough, the reason that you get rejected is because you're just not good enough. And I think the better I've gotten at realizing that and being open to that and hearing that kind of feedback, it's been nice and kind of liberating in a way, because it puts more on me as the business owner to double down on learning and double down on control and accountability, that I can actually improve this metric. I can improve these things if I actually just get better at the skill. So it makes you feel like there's nothing I can do about it, and I can never get up to that pay, or I can never land that type of clients. Yes, you can. You actually just need to create these feedback loops to get feedback from the people that you are working with about what you suck at. And then don't take it so personal. Just know that that's actual something that you suck at, and then commit to getting better at it. And then once you commit to getting better at it, you can work up and get better and better, and eventually get up to those higher rungs. And I think that's just like a business in a nutshell, to be honest. It's like, that's all it is. Like, you have this idea from the beginning, you provide some type of product or service, you get a bunch of feedback all in the middle and get better at your skill, your product, your service, all the way until the point where you can ask for more money. It grows bigger. People want to work with you. You get more employees. It's just getting better and better at that thing that you do. So I'm going to end it on that. I think that's a really good learning for today. To be honest, it was awesome to see my team go through it today. All of us commit to wanting to do better at this, myself included. I'm not immune to this. There's things on there that I need to get better at to help the team. So again, there's tons of things I need to improve to. But really good day overall. A lot of stuff comes out of just going to the meetings and kind of just doing the mundane, boring stuff, to be honest. Just going to those and getting that kind of feedback loop and asking the right questions opens up a lot of opportunity for you to be able to learn this kind of stuff. So another last learning is just definitely going to commit to this, continue to go to these things more frequently than I have been, so that I can continue to learn what it is that our clients need, so that I can continue to serve them in the best way.